Hello and welcome to the space of the Conscious CoCreators. This is another day. Here I am, Uma, with you, joined by Shani.
Hello. Happy to be here again at the space of Conscious CoCreators. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. And today we are joined by an amazing guest. We're joined today with Momo from Coração de Cacao, and somebody who is a facilitator in ecstatic dance and really a facilitator who leads from the heart. So welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for joining us here today and appreciate you being here. We like to dive right into like people's depths from the start to see. And one thing that is obvious when we spend time together and hang out with people like you, it's that you have this like open heart and you lead from this space. But has that always been the case, or have you felt that that was a process for you to connect with your heart and open up? So I'm curious to know for you, like when you were younger, did you ever feel this like closed heart and then the process of opening, or what was that for you?
Thank you so much for bringing this up. So yeah, this goes directly into the depths, because as I'm going into my own process and trying to feel what is alive in my heart, I actually realize why I'm doing this work and why it's so important for me to create spaces of heart connection. It is because I myself, because of my story and my background and the traumas I have also lived through life, I shut down my heart in a way that I feel like there is so much more to feel, but of protection, of surviving, I have somehow closed parts of my heart, because my father, he died when I was 6 years old. And I think the way to handle it, as I have in this time, I was a young little boy. So the way of surviving was like closing to not feel it all. And I think since then, my process is actually to open my heart again. And so sometimes I can see like our biggest trauma, or the traumas we have, they are the canalizers of what we're looking for in life. And so all these spaces, they, of course, it's my service, but it's actually also to support me in slowly letting go of this, these filters. They're still there to really trust and to fully feel from the heart. So, so it's actually still a journey.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And I agree 100% on those being the catalyst, like those biggest wounds and traumas in our life. And for you to be able to like experience that at such a young age and then like learn how to open your heart instead of closing it off. Or maybe you went through a process of first closing off and then realizing that opening is actually the path. And I'd love for you to walk us through that journey, how it started for you, and maybe some practices that helped you to connect more with your heart and open more from that space.
Yeah. So what comes directly to me is like so strongly cacao. And still maybe to go back, I feel like I felt myself always super open-hearted also when I was a teenager. And on a superficial level, I felt like, wow, I'm this super heart-open human being. But once I do more inner work and I look, I realized that there's still some work to do with what happened with my father, and also what happened afterwards with the relationship with my mother, because it somehow affected the whole system. And so I feel like I lived a lot of years superficially thinking that I'm super heart-open, and others perceive me in this way, and it's a gift that I feel that I can bring people into this heart space and creating a space where people feel safe to feel. And at the same time, that it doesn't mean always that you are super heart open with yourself. You can still protect yourself. And I realized this in all the relationships I had when I was a teenager and also in my early 20s. I felt a lot of times detached actually when we separated, and I realized that others feel maybe the pain or the suffering, And somehow I felt that there was this space that I could just go on. And then I first thought, I'm so super open that this is not touching me. But actually looking more inside, it's because I was not really allowing to feel fully. So I feel I'm still in this process of opening my heart more and more, because I feel there's such a beauty. The pain is a beautiful tool to transform and to heal, as well as feeling deeply love for someone. But there you need to trust in life. Because if I'm not trusting, and I have this feeling and this pattern that when I'm open and I'm vulnerable, then something can hurt me, what happened to me when I was 6, then you are not fully opening to all. And so I am still trying to recondition and reset my whole system, my nervous system, to really be able to trust and to open and be vulnerable in life. And I said Cacao because I arrived when I was 19 in Guatemala, and I had my first cacao ceremony, and I had no idea about cacao. I just knew MDMA, but not the cacao. And I had the first ceremony, and it opened my heart in a way. And in this time, I didn't know how to deal with so much love I felt. So the easiest way was like trying to put it onto others instead of cultivating it. So making love to other people, or going lost in their directions. This was the way of canalizing it. It's also a pattern of mine. Since then, cacao always stayed with me, and I had so many subtle but deep forgiveness moments, acceptance moments, possibilities of opening my heart. So slowly, the cacao brings me into this heart space, and it makes all sense that I'm working with cacao and that cacao found me when I look at my story. And it makes all sense what I'm doing right now and what is happening. So, yeah, it's cacao. It's cacao a lot for me. It's cacao.
Thank you for your honest and vulnerable answer. I appreciate it. I wanted to ask you, because leading many times, it's really a very masculine trait and activity. And many times the spiritual leaders, if you know what I mean, the spiritual leaders have to stand up in this very masculine leadership, and how do you combine working with cacao, that is such a feminine energy, for me at least, such a receptive energy, and an energy that actually holds you, and you want to create this space as being nourishing and soft, and in the same time doing all this management and manifestation that is such a masculine thing to do.
Yeah.
So in the short, how do you manage to lead from an open, soft heart?
Yeah, I feel there is when we are in our power, we are trying to be balanced also in the masculine and feminine, and we try to work both energies, and sometimes we have moments where we really need to work on one side or the other or both. And I feel that I have a possibility, or we all have, but there are moments I feel really aligned, that I have this soft heart and maybe this attitude of a feminine, of listening the space, feeling what is alive, being receptive, which is a power of our feminine energy, and still being really focused in some moments, and leading and guiding and delegating. So I guess the real power is when we can bring it together, because for me, this is also my way of being, and how I'm able to feel safe in the space. It's I need to come from this humble space of the heart and this sensitivity, that I'm able to invite the others to feel, and also be able to even listen what is alive in the space. If not, I'm in my own thing and I just do, but I'm not really actually aware of what is there. So I feel this. It's about this, bringing it together, and I try my best.
The balance.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
The yin and yang.
The yin and yang, and this was something that I experienced as we co-created in your festival a few weeks ago even, at the Coração de Cacau Fest. And I think the thing that was obvious for me, like being there, was just how supported I felt, and also seeing in the process, it's like, okay, from the first moment, I knew that I had my space to do my thing, but then you were also making sure that everything was okay, but then creating the space for people to feel safe. And I felt like for you as well, there was a lot to take on in your first festival. And I'm curious to hear about maybe some of the lessons that you feel like you learned from taking on a big project like throwing your own festival for the first time.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot. I will try to make it. So the first, maybe what I really feel like to say about this, what you say, feeling safe in the space, I realized for me, it's all about being authentic. If I am able to share and show who am I, what is alive right now in me, and me as a being, and not putting myself into some kind of position, or then it creates like an equal space where people really can tap in because they feel, wow, this is a human with his pain and his suffering and his moments, and I can be here myself. I don't need to show that I'm super spiritual and I'm so aware, and we are here together to grow and learn, and we all have our shadows. We all are in the same boat. We are here. So this really helps me to be in this humble space, and it really helps people to come in and be themselves and feel safe. And I feel like if we are in service, then we're gifted by the divine light which comes from inside, and it's a humble service. It needs to come from the heart, and we're being super humble. If not, our ego takes it over. And so therefore, this moment where I can just drop down and come to my heart and be vulnerable, it helps me that I am in this space where the ego is. And I just experienced this when I'm serving. I never had this experience of unconditional love, or that my ego is really not nearly dissolving in a way, and the mind just supports the heart fully, and there is no need for anything. I don't need. And this is where I feel I'm in my power, and it only happens when I'm in service. That I'm humbly being there, feeling the space, being there, but my personality, my own thing, my own needs, they are not driving me. And this is such a beautiful feeling, and this is what I can experience, what it is for me to be in service. So, but I think you had another question about the
This
value.
resonates a lot.
It actually answers the question, because about lessons from hosting the first festival, and for you it was about connecting deeper with your feeling of service. So yeah, I resonate with that. And when you connected with that, it made things flow easier for you, I guess.
Yeah.
I think this is it's a key word here. This is entering the state of flow, which is when we just don't push things to happen from the mind, but we allow things to flow from the heart. And there's this secret that whenever we surrender to the loving heart, bringing manifestation to everything that surrounds us, then things just happen naturally. And everybody wants to be a part of it, and everybody wants to help in it, because it's just the universal flow of love, which is the only truth.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in that, but I think some people definitely maybe use that as an excuse to then not go ahead and create things. They feel they're waiting for things to just flow. But what I see different between what you're doing, it's that it's actually maybe proactively kind of creating that space, and actually using the heart as the compass to create what you're looking to create. And I think from going back to the story of the way you were at the start, and now we're already talking about the festival, which was some years in between. I'm curious to hear about that in-between space for you, because there was obviously a journey of creating events, and you've been doing the Coração de Cacau now for I think, is it 5 years or 6 years?
Yeah, it's already 6, 7 now.
6 or 7 years. So it's an incredible thing to create that consistency and still be creating from the heart after all this time. And maybe some people may have felt to like, okay, stop or quit, or maybe there were challenges along the way for sure during those times. So I'm curious to hear about how you were able to stick on that path even when things are not flowing so well.
Yeah, that's an important question. And now looking back, when I drove and I passed Lisbon to come here, we have this gathering tomorrow in Lisbon in Artgeisen, which was the first space I ever did a cacao ceremony in Portugal. And it was maybe already nearly 7 years ago. And I didn't know any other cacao ceremony in this moment in Portugal when I started to offering cacao ceremony in this space, at least organized that you could see it in Facebook or you find it. Maybe some people were doing it by themselves, but there was no organized cacao ceremony. And now looking back from the start, I had no idea what I'm actually was doing, and I learned on the way. And there were a lot of, I was not always flowing in the universal flow of love, and there were a lot of like pushing it forward. And for me, with this very a special point is that I started it from this idea of, I just want to share it. I didn't think about to make this like something sustainable, which can now even like nourishing a family or being something which I would call it's my service. I just started it. But then something shifted when I say I or we got pregnant, because I feel a man, even it's not in the body, also goes through a pregnancy and through a journey. So I was to become a father. I have now 2 beautiful children. And there was this realization and also the fear, and I had not a good relationship with money, fear of how I can sustain a family. I went through all this shifting from a boy to try to get a man, which was not easy for me because I was really playful in my boy energy. And this shifted that I feel like, okay, I'm getting children. I don't want to do anything in life which is not aligned with my heart and is not what I want to do. There is this passion. I feel so alive when I'm in service. I'm feeling this is the space. Okay, we can have children, but I will never do something for money to sustain the family which is not connected. And this was a big fear-driven action mode to really go into creating Coração de Cacau, because it was this consistency which is needed. This, okay, I need now. There's no, I have kids to feed. So it was a bit of a survival energy as well who was driving Coração de Cacau forward. And the support of the mother of my children in all the organization part. And we really brought it to something bigger, also in the need of sustaining a family. So for me, I always say that the masters, my children, they are the more strong vehicle of creating this project, because there was a need to make it more sustainable, to make it more consistency. So it's interesting that something so loving from the heart can still be driven by an energy of fear or survival energy, but it works because once you drop into the service and you really are able to feel that it's your service, then you are in this heart space. It doesn't matter what has happened before and how I feel. And I realized this when I had a very time where I was super tired of these 2 little children. I'm still feeling it, doing all these events and taking care of children. And there was a moment I was driving to a gathering, and before the week I was super tired. I had a big retreat, 4 days, where I was holding a lot of space. And on my way, my full energy shifted. It was not anymore about me, and I was so tired before, and I stopped being tired. It just, all the energy came to me that, okay, you are now in service. We support you. You have energy for this 4 days. You will go into this heart space. So it's all possible.
I think it's like this, when we are in service or when we are connected to the higher self or to the higher divinity, it's like a plug that comes from the sky or from the earth or from both, that just comes to the heart, and you're like, and then the moment that the space is left and you stay there by yourself, it's like the plug is out and you're like, something like this, you know. And then again, the black comes and like, okay, I'm connected. I'm here for everything and for everyone and for myself. And then the moment it starts, it's like, at least that works for me.
I think I've seen that within you.
In the retreats.
In the retreats, it's like there's something else, and it's just connected, and it's like, okay, this
it's like outside
transcendent
power
energy just shining through you.
But there is something I wanted to address, because you mentioned that there was this pushing energy, and how I see it, it makes total sense, because the money energy, it always needs a place to come to. So like as long as you were there by yourself, doing your thing for your fun, the money energy was like, okay, he's good. But then whenever there was, like you said, a family, a thing to sustain, more energy required from the money just said, okay, so this is how you can do it, and we're going to support you on this path. And it's so beautiful and so inspiring that you committed to your heart and you told yourself, okay, money energy come, but I'm not going to disconnect from myself. I'm going to pursue my heart's mission. And I think there is so much fear in people, and the fear-driven action actually is not doing it. The fear-driven action is, I'm going to go to a full-time job and I'm going to do my little passion on the side and always live in the internal conflict that I don't have enough energy for my heart-calling business or heart-calling projects because I give away so much to normal job. So I would say that your action, even that you see it fear-driven, is like really courageous. And I wonder if you have an inspirational thought for people who are maybe in this transition or still before the transition from regular job, and they're still like trying to live in this separation from their heart, even though they would love to hold space for others, would love to bring healing, would love to promote holistic practices, but they don't have this courage to step into it and really trust into the process like you did.
Yeah. So maybe never start a full-time job, because I think the transitions, I don't know, I also feel like I have difficulties. For example, I want to do way more music than organization. Like I am an artist and I want to create more. And still I started to do everything by myself. So I'm also somehow learned by doing how to be a organizer from fans and stuff. And even this transition, even it's in the same field of my own project, is still a mission for me, you know, to how to let go of some missions to create space for others. So I think the best is to directly go for what is in your heart and not having something else already running into your system. But of course, we have our processes and we need to go through things, and also the full-time job can give some false security, but security that we feel like, okay, I'm now more stable and then I can breathe. And I think it's for everyone their own process how to find this trust. I'm also looking for this, but maybe an advice I can give, what I do right now is like looking inside what is there, maybe working with a therapist to see what has shaped me in my life, that I'm not in full trust of abundance that life always will provide, and what is there, what is my life story, and to accept it's part, we all go through things, and to look at them and see how by reliving them or just understanding and bringing them into order, to see how you can maybe change some patterns, the way you are acting to life or the way you have thoughts. If you're a lot of time thinking about the worst case, what it comes from that you have this attitude towards life. So inner work and looking and listening is maybe the advice I can give, and I'm in it as well. I'm not have done all this inner work, but I am feeling that this can support. And then a lot of cacao, a lot of beautiful people around you who support you, that you feel this trust inside. At the end, it's inside. But surrender yourself with beautiful beings. Come to a lot of gatherings with cacao and dance, where we can feel this glimpse of moments where we're in our power, because there we are not doubting. There are moments we are not doubting. And this is to grab. All the other is like an illusion. We are living this dream all the time. But there are moments where we feel we are the self, we are the divine. And this is to grab and to realize and to remember whenever we are on our journey, digging in the holes.
Yes, we are divine.
Yes, definitely. One thing that I get from your story is the importance of learning to connect with your why, because what you shared there was when you discovered that you had like a strong enough why to create this, the how just figured itself out. It's like, okay, of course we're going to create a huge movement, but if you're trying to sit there thinking about how can we create a Coração de Cacau movement, that wouldn't really have manifested in the way that it has. It's more about when you have this like strong reason where, and you said it's like, okay, a case of your kids need food. It's very primal. And then that energy that Uma described, that charge, that connection from the universe just drives you forward, and then things just figure themselves out and the universe begins to align for you. And I feel for some people, if they don't have a strong enough why, eventually they will fall off the path because their reason isn't powerful enough. But when you're on that path and you need to feed your kids, there's no other option. It's like it's this or it's this. So you find a way to make it happen. I feel for people, if they find that strong reason within them, then they can create whatever they want to create. And it's so amazing to see that that was the path for you. And I feel when you shared about how it started from the energy of like almost desperation, or kind of like this, I forget the word you used, but the energy of not fear-based
survival
energy.
mode,
Survival energy. So if it started from survival energy, what shifted to help you not stay in survival energy once the money started coming in and the events started happening and people started showing up? Because sometimes people, when we create something, that's all we know and we stick to that. But then how did you evolve to connect with the heart and stay on that path instead of sticking with the survival mode of trying to like just survive?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm still processing actually this transition, because it's another, let's start like this. It's another illusion to think it's the money on our bank account, because once I started to receive more money and somehow I could already sustain the family, this energy of survival mode was not instantly going away. It was something which was still feeding me, and it has not to do with what is there, because you can always think it's not enough. I need more. So the bank account or the money is not it's not what helped me to let go of this survival mode. I feel it was the growth of getting a father and a man, and stepping more into my power and realizing, wow, I'm actually good in what I'm doing. I had no idea when I started that I'm a good facilitator. And if I now look back how I started in open space and closed, from now looking at this, I just like, I'm humbly accepting the way I was doing things, because it was not, it was trying out. But I grow so much on this journey, and I feel that this is maybe the most beautiful thing. Life is too short to do things which are not feeding our soul, and it sounds so, but it is true. Like death and life is part together, and it's an instant. So to really feed this service, I lost a bit track where I actually was, but
it's okay.
Maybe you can help me.
But it makes all the sense.
Yes, and finding a way to connect your heart mission and never lose that when you're on the path. And for some facilitators, as you mentioned, they start out by this faking till you make it kind of thing, where it's like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but let's just act like a facilitator, and then eventually they get to the point where they start to realize things. And
but I think it's just not just for facilitators. It's like when you're new at anything, you have to show up as you know it, because if you continue being new at something forever and you just don't trust yourself and your potential, you'll always be in this like, I'm not good enough. I'm not ready.
It's true. You know, the first podcast we did was with Satya, if you know Satya.
Yes.
And I watched that back and I'm just like, it's so bad for me. It's like, the questions I asked were so terrible. I'm like, oh my God, I would ask her so many better questions now. But it's like, I look it back.
That's why I never watch our podcast. I'm like, I already lived it once. Why do I need to do it for myself?
We need the views.
I'm not doing it. It's not me.
You're costing us like some views. But yeah, I think that's the thing about growth. It's like we look back at ourselves and we can humbly accept where we were and then look to where we are now. But then it makes us realize that one day we'll look back at us today and feel the same way. So it's like it's a constant.
But this is it. I've never heard about any facilitator who told me like my first gathering. Other than myself.
Yeah, this was pretty good.
The first gathering, I was already knowing everything I'm doing. Like, most of the people like admit that at the beginning we learn. And even until we have the money to get all the trainings, you have to start somewhere. Unless it's a change of career and you've already have like built an abundance in one field and can invest 10,000 euros in 5 or 10 different trainings to just start as a super qualified facilitator of everything, right?
Yes. Right, but even that doesn't give you experience because I feel like the experience of facilitating is probably what helped you to learn from it fast because we go through a process. I'm reading this book actually. I don't know if you know Mastery. No. It's an interesting book right now by I forget the guy's name, but it talks about how to master any skill and go through the process from like an apprentice to a master.
Okay.
And for some people, when they go through that process, you start out like kind of what you said, where it's like you don't know something, and then after a certain point, if you do it over and over again, and this is the thing that was interesting, he said that most people never get to the stage of mastery because whenever things get difficult, they quit. But we have the ability to master anything just by doing things over and over again, but actually learning through the process. It's like that process of iterating and learning and seeing what works, what doesn't work, and then changing and adapting eventually leads to mastery. Yeah. And this is what we see when we go to facilitators who seem to hold space in such a masterful way. It doesn't come from them doing that one time. It's you don't see the thousands of times they've done it before where little things have gone off. So yeah.
And still, I feel like that maybe that the secret is to try to be always a student, even if you have mastered or if you feel you have mastered something. I think there's this Japanese saying that do the things, whatever you do, as it would be your first time in some moments, about the curiosity, about learning. So I did thousands of cacao ceremonies, and I needed to remind myself to try to be as I would be the first time there, because every time is a special time to connect with the medicine, and I always learn. You say there are some, it looks from outside, they have mastered something. Of course, maybe from your perspective, and they have done something great, but there's always learning. In every ceremony, in every gathering, I learn because I feel the group, I feel what I have done in this way, and so it's a constant learning, and I think it will never stop. So, and that's the beauty about life. And this service also supports me in my own growth because I get so strongly reflected where I'm at. And you know, before a ceremony, I feel so much from the participants already, or from before opening a portal. But also, I am confronting with seeing what is my inner landscape, where I'm at right now. Even this is not then counting in the ceremony, but it's constant mark of reflecting on one's own journey. And I am a very fluid person. I think without having this service, I would not so often understand my process and where I'm at. It's a good mirror to look at. I think it's beautiful, this journey. And may it never stops that we are learning and growing.
Yeah, wow. And now you've been doing this for 6-7 years as the facilitator of Coração de Cacau. And I'm curious to know about what your vision is for this. As you say, you want to continue to grow. You held your first festival this year, and how do you see this energy expanding in the future? Do you see ecstatic dance going more widely accepted in the world, or how is that? And Cacao as well.
I love that you bring in the vision, because I'm so often just going step by step that sometimes this bigger vision is not super clear, but it's in a beautiful part, and I'm still also learning to sometimes have the bigger picture instead of just going in the moment, which I do a lot. You know, I'm not planning so much ahead what will happen. But I wanted to say something. So your question was that
the expansion of ecstatic dance globally into the mainstream and Coração de Cacao in every country.
Yes. Yeah, now I have it back, because I felt deeply also to just acknowledging, even if it was not a question, like acknowledging here also all these beautiful, beautiful souls from the heart, friends, people who are supporting this project, because this project was driven by so much love for so many people who from the beginning. I have Flavia, which for example is there since the very first Cacao event in Artgeisen. She's still with us, so she knows all this process, and seeing how many people have supported, have shared, have invited their friends, have brought magic to the gathering, have supported in the background, like the mother of my children and other people who are doing so amazing work. And so I feel just to acknowledging this, because it's it wouldn't have been possible when there's not like a base of people who feel to share this love for this project and supporting it very humbly in different ways. So I feel this is very important for me. And about the vision, I feel for myself or for Coração de Cacau, the most important is that it's always this family space of heart connection. So I'm super up for expansion and even more abundance. Then it's I envision to be even more easier to bring people. All this social media thing is amazing, but it takes so much energy. Still like seducing people to come to my gathering, you know, like it's these beautiful videos and that's part. And I still envision like that that I'm growing and that people really feel like, okay, this is a safe space, it's a beautiful space, and more people want to explore and want to be in this heart energy. And still, I also always want to keep it familiar, and always that it's humbly coming from the heart. Once it's not anymore there, then it would not be the vision of the project. So I don't have a goal of like how many people and where to reach. And I also, now I have something to say, what you just said about the tips for people who start. You know, I see myself also, especially with social media, it's so easy as an artist to compare yourself. Maybe you do this with other podcasts as well, to see like, oh, they're doing so amazing podcasts and they have so many followers, and it's so easy to get lost in this ego comparison. And suddenly I saw myself, and I came from just doing cacao ceremonies. I was not calling myself an artist in making like ecstatic dance. Then I added all these other tools, and suddenly I feel like, oh, I'm an artist, and he's so amazing, and I want to be like him, and I want to be famous as him. And you start like this driving me, and I realize it's super good if we try as much as we can not to compare ourselves. Because the goal, when I look inside of myself, the goal was never to be as famous or as well known, or this doesn't matter. The most important is like the spaces where people can come into the heart. And my vision is, as I'm on this path, I feel like the world needs people in the heart and acting from the heart. We did a lot out of the heart, and now it's time to humbly serve the earth and be in our heart. So this is the vision. And all the other monkey mind is my own ego who wants to be seen, well-known, famous, and at the end, this is not. When I leave this body and the soul leaves this body, it's not looking on this, it's on the quality and what I really have done to reach hearts and souls, I guess.
And it's beautiful that you have this eagle vision on it, because it's really easy to get trapped in this machine of becoming something, as opposed to just acting from alignment and heart. So I believe you're doing great.
Yes.
And then I have a question back in the time. So how did you end up in Portugal? Because you mentioned you come from Germany. As 19, you were already in Costa Rica in your probably some kind of soul discovery journey. And then now you're in Portugal. Would you share with us a little bit about your path until today?
Yeah. So ending up in Portugal, I feel it's a feeling. Maybe it's for a lot of us like this, because I feel there's so many beautiful souls attracted by Portugal more and more. I'm here since 7 years. I can even in the 7 years see how many more have come and how many more have created. And so for me, it was a feeling, and I always felt home when I was in Portugal. You know, I was traveling a bit before here, and I always feel this beautiful feeling of, wow, they're so welcoming. I feel super welcomed here, and something is calling me here. And I had no idea that this is the place where my children are born and this amazing project is born. I feel if I would have mind, you can imagine a lot of things, but it's so beautiful to just, you know, experience it and then understanding what is really why you are here. And my journey went like I never stopped with cacao since I'm 19, and I brought cacao back from Guatemala, and then I was studying in Berlin. I studied social work, so I had my early 20s in Berlin, which is a good way to explore yourself, no? So then I started to do cacao for myself at home, and then I lived with a beautiful brother, which actually with him I started Coração de Cacau. It's Ricky, and then we were doing this cacao for us, and we brought it to the dance clubs, you know, and in between the alcohol and the smoke and the wild dancing, we were just serving cacao. And we said, like, close your eyes for a moment, just put an intention. Here's your cacao cup, and then we just continued dancing. And then in one moment, I felt, and I think a lot of us felt, wow, if we could create this magnificence of dance music, especially in Berlin, good sound system, good DJs, the quality of sound and light is sometimes super high, amazing. But still, I see so much circle of just consuming, going again, consuming. How can we lift? There are so many beautiful souls here in between. How can we lift this energy? Okay, ritual. Let's start with something before. Let's make a circle. Let's breathe together. Maybe drink cacao. And then a dance journey where maybe people without shoes, there's no alcohol and no smoke. So there Berlin was for me like the playground where I also then realized what I feel, what makes sense for me to create, and what should happen. And so this was the start. I was there with a beautiful group of people they called Lucid. They were actually starting doing these conscious gatherings in Berlin. And I was part of them, and we just started to doing this, and it created like a whole movement there. And when I came first to Lisbon, Portugal, I felt like, okay, I think now it's the time to do it here as well. And this is how I started to do the cacao and dances here.
And how old were you when you started?
Here in Portugal?
Mm-hmm.
So I came here with... I'm 33, by the way.
Okay, me too.
So we got pregnant when this shift, a big transformation of 27.
Mm-hmm.
People say that there's a big shift. For me, I was in the process of becoming a father. Oof, big shift. So maybe I came here with 25, 26, something like this. Yeah, went really fast. I met the mother of my children. We knew each other with Cacao, from Coração de Cacau. She was supporting the project as a volunteer in the first gathering. And then we connected, and like 3 months later, we got pregnant. It was super fast, everything. So also cacao, we drank cacao, and then we made love, and then our child was born. So it's somehow it's all cacao at the end.
Cacao child.
So beautiful.
Yeah, like my daughter is called Savannah Rose, and she said first, I think it was mama, then papa, and her third word was cacao.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Well, the spirit knows the divine timing to come across.
Yeah, grateful for this. Like, it's the most difficult journey I have faced so far, like being a father and taking care of children, from my own story of how to relate and the most growth I have experienced. So I'm beyond grateful. Not the easiest years, but at the end, it's not about easy or not. It's just the way I perceive it. But the growth, it's unbelievable. So thank you for all the ones who stepping up, bringing children to this world. It's very courageous in these times with all how we live in individual families. And thank you for these beautiful children, because they creating this new earth. I can see the eyes of my children. They bringing it forward, you know. So
what comes across a lot through your sharings is the power of the supportive community. And this is something that we really value, also individually as collectively as conscious co-creators. And I believe that creating these spaces where we can heal through receiving support, love, safety, and feeling held and connected to each other, and unconditional acceptance and radical truth. All of this is really supporting the growth and healing more than or as much as very deep individual work, but in a different way. And I'm wondering if you could say what qualities of spaces you promote in your events and how it influences the dynamic of what's happening there.
Okay. So so I feel that I know that in these spaces where we are able to drop into art, when we meet someone and we are in this heart space, the connection can go very deep. And in this alignment, sometimes we find these soul brothers and soul sisters, no? Which have been always there, and I believe that there are many all spread around. But if you really meet some, sometimes it's just like, wow, is I coming home? No, like, oh my God, I knew you already. How does this connection so instantly happen? And I feel these spaces, which getting us out of our autopilot, how we are walking through life and bringing us into the presence of feeling and being, there is where we can really meet ourselves and others, no? So I feel that these spaces have a big potential of making people fall in love, making families, but also creating community, because the depth of a heart connection is something which is can be a beautiful fuel for something amazing, like a flower growing from the seeds, because it comes from a humble space. And so I do believe that we have a beautiful community, and more brothers and sisters are around with all these gatherings and this, how you ever want to call this community. And still for me, it's like to add to how to let go of some conditions we have learned, where we so strongly do everything by ourselves and still live individually. How can you really step up into community, and what does it mean, like living really in community? Because these gatherings are a beautiful glimpse of what it can also be if we would share space together maybe more constantly. But I feel it's still, for myself, I speak for myself, it's still a journey how to bring this into sustainable community living. For example, I want to be in community, and I wish to be in community since 10 years, and the manifestation of it is still a journey. I feel it takes every part of my cell, and still let me realize where I'm still in this individual mindset, where I'm not opening up to co-creation. And I think you have such a beautiful word, because if you really are able to do co-creation, really, I think it's new earth, but it's easy to say and hard to do, at least from my understanding. And still in this community, I wish for us that we can even more create community and really live together in a sustainable way, and showing also here in Portugal what is possible if we have spaces from the heart where we live together and raise children, that the parents are not alone, that you are not alone in your project, that you always have support, and we have this support. But when it comes to who is really there, it's sometimes if we are spread and we are not living together, I find it sometimes still difficult to have this network and counting on people who can drive you to the hospital, who is there for you. And with the children, I feel it's very easy that parents exclude themselves in their own bubble, which can be beautiful, but it's also a lot too much for two people, or in my case, single parents. It's too much for any of them. So I feel it's really I wish this for our community also here in Portugal, that we find ways of organization that we have to be able to give the support to parents, to the old ones, to the young ones, to everyone who needs. So I wish this, because I can see still that we are all renting our little houses and trying to do our own little thing to just have the freedom, but there's such a potential.
So there's an ecstatic village coming up.
Yes,
We're coming back to the question for the vision.
The vision is becoming clearer now.
Yes.
We're going somewhere.
Yes, Coração de Cacau village.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, Coração village.
Yeah.
Village de Coração.
Yeah.
We're going somewhere. Village, how do you say villa? Villa de Coração.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I can see that happening.
Yeah,
and
please.
I think this is, as you say, this is a new era for us to really connect with the individuals that support us in this non-competition way. Because unfortunately what happens many times is like whenever we're becoming successful, we want to be the best, and then there are all these like low frequency vibrations like greed, possession, fame, desire, and we forget about the others. And this is one part from the leader part of you. And then the other part of you is we become surrounded by people who have interest. And the people who seem to support us, at the end of the day, it can turn out that there is a lot of interest behind it, and a lot of, this superficial drive that is not really here for everything. It's just for success and for thriving together. But whenever things get hard, who is then holding my back?
Yeah.
And this is where we discover the real sisterhood, the real brotherhood that is there for the heart connection and for the real presence, and not just for celebration, but for the celebration as well. So I believe this is the depth that I wish for all of us to encounter. And this brings me to a question, because ecstatic dance is a lot about celebration. And Coração de Cacao and all the other ecstatic dances that we have.
Yes.
What about the moments when we don't feel so good, when we leave the party and we feel down? Oh, before we come to party and we feel down. What about all this depth? Like, how do you feel that we can be a little bit more inclusive when it comes to all the spectrum of our being, as opposed to just celebrating in love and light?
Yeah. So I feel like first of all, there's space for everything. This beautiful celebration, which is super uplifting, they have their space, because sometimes people, even they don't feel good, they just can need this joy activation and being in this state. And you mentioned that there are different ecstatic dances, but there's also different ways of holding space. And for example, in Coração de Cacau, as we also do a cacao ceremony, and I'm not speaking about like sharing cacao in a cup and then it's done, which you see a lot on dance events, like that it's a adder to the boost of cacao, no? We do a cacao ceremony because I come from cacao ceremony. This is where it all started, and there is space for depth, for crying, for feeling these emotions. Of course, there's a collective energy, which also with the dance, it's easy to get into celebration mode, but there is space to feel whatever you need to feel. I always share this. I see people crying in our ceremonies, holding each other. We do a lot of connection work that people can just receive love, feeling touched. They can sit down, they can meditate. So they can be in these spaces, even in a one-day gathering, which is not enough space to really accomplish a whole process. There's space to feel the depth. There's no need to be, if you're not in this, you don't need to be joyful right now if you're not joyful, and that you have a space there and you're allowed to be there. So I do feel that these celebrations can embrace all all kinds of human emotions which can be alive, but this is real. It's not only this celebration. And when I do gatherings of 3-4 days, I really make like a journey in between really deep moments of release, of trauma release in a way of like maybe emotional release exercises or deep Kundalini breath work or breath work for some time, to go into the depth and then holding the people there and going into this energy, and then always lifting it also up with some lighter activities, which brings then the balance of also integrating the deeper moments. So if I do longer gathering days, I really feel that it's important to create space where we can really feel whatever needs to be felt. So I don't think that ecstatic dance needs to be in a certain way, which is only going to join the celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And one of the point is I felt that myself going to a few of the different ecstatic dances, one of the things that we saw was that people arrive maybe for the first time, maybe they don't know anybody, and there's other people who would be amazing at co-creating something, and if only they connected, but they might not get that opportunity to connect in the experience of everything that they're going through. So the potential of what's possible in these spaces is immense if certain things were facilitated. And this was one of the intentions behind the co-creation corner we spoke about for your event, was to create a space to kind of allow people to share authentically and connect. And I feel like maybe having more spaces like this in the ecstatic dance as well, where people can connect more authentically and integrate some of the experiences during the dance as well together, I feel can be really powerful.
Yeah. It's like a little integration already being there now, where it feels like more rooted. I'm also super easily more in this etheric, fairy energy, but there is a power of bringing more rootedness to the gatherings as well. And maybe also what comes more and more to me also is like how can it also go into more sustainable and somehow action oriented for the world, with workshops like how to blend workshops, or really learning again like ancient wisdom of how to co-live, to make it even more rooted, how to bring it into our daily life. Because there's a big potential in this high frequency of celebration, but I think we can weave it with some sustainable practices and activities. So I feel the Conscious Creation Corner was super important. It is very important to have spaces where we are able to just sit and feel what is alive, instead of getting in this spiral of energy moved. No, yeah. But I feel, for example, also in the cacao ceremonies, as there is a lot of, like, I see a gathering as a constant build up. Like it's always starting. That in a way of, I'm always trying to make connection work. I always try a bit more to open the space that people can really let go of their mask and be seen, looking in each other, being there, holding each other with touch, and also with a little conversation sometimes at the beginning. And I feel that this drops a lot from the unrealness that we are able to drop in where we are right now, but we need to have this space created somehow. Yeah.
That's I just got this download that came from what you both said. And as you said, the events are many times on the rise. So it's as much as an individual journey as it's a collective experience, mostly nonverbal, though. Because we experience singing, chanting, meditation, ceremony, dance, maybe contact dance, and then we melt into stillness and stay within. So I believe that this moment of integration, where we can actually express, for these people who like to express, or who like to feel clarification of what has been stirred up, just by sharing. I mean, like, hey, this is what has come up, and this is what I need right now, and this is what I feel right now. And I believe sometimes it's like this thing that we go out with it, and you are alone with so many things that are shaken, so much energy that is like, you know, coming through. And I believe this integration thing is something that is so important. And for me, at the beginning of my journey, at the first ecstatic dances, I didn't know how to hold space for this because I didn't have experience with so much energy within, and then not having a hangover. So like you wake up and you're like, okay. And I remember I was
waking up with more energy.
I was even calling this sometimes when it was too much out. I felt like I am hangovered after ecstatic dance because I give so much of energy up and out that at the end of the day, I feel a little bit depleted. So it taught me how I can actually go to ecstatic experiences and save this energy contain it inside, even though I want to share it, but contain it a little bit so I have for later.
Yes.
And then it starts to multiply, but it's all of a practice.
Wow, it's amazing. So now it comes two things to my mind. First, maybe it could be amazing to have like a group call after the or opportunity online for people, for whoever who feels after the gathering, to meet in this online space where they can still share, and maybe we can help each other to integrate and to understand, and bringing up things like what you just shared. And the other, it brings me completely back of what I just started saying when I was in Guatemala with 19 and I felt all this love and I didn't know what to do because I had not yet the tools and the self-exploration of how to stay with the energy instead of just putting it out. My way was, okay, woman, let's make love to everyone because there's so much energy, you know? Easy way of, but it's not really integrated. And I think it's a beautiful, which can also be speaking in the circles, is like this, maybe it's a Tantra way of living, but how to manage our energy. And this is for all life because we have so much influences all the time. And nowadays we live so intense times. So how can we manage our energy with all what is happening? And it's maybe the same in any kind of gathering, but especially there when we're so high, how can I, from all this highness, how can I have enough self-love and practice that I'm breathing inside and I have this awareness. I grow how to balance my energy. I think it's beautiful when you just shared and
I'm getting beautiful. A lot.
It's amazing. I feel the group call is a great idea.
Group call is a great idea, and also another ideas.
Idea.
So many ideas.
The idea I thought was actually to do more of a at the end sort of group sharings between people, in 3 or 4 people, sort of sharing what's present in them at the moment.
Or even like starting the next morning if it's a longer event with, okay, we can start with practice, but also we can start with a circle. Before we go into another day of a deep experience of, my eyes are already there, you know, of this collective connection with cosmic energy, you know, and experiencing this divine in each one of us. We can take a moment to like sit all together and share with each other. And of course this is happening in events and we're doing this in little groups, but I feel the power of the circle is so strong. Wow, so many ideas coming up. Like I feel this really strong call for people to come together, you know, and celebrate together is also such a beautiful opportunity for us to heal together and to really reprogram all this body and all this mind around how we don't have to show up as nothing. We can truly be who we are with each other, and we can be vulnerable and we can be weak as much as we can be strong, and we can be ugly as much as we can be beautiful. And all of the parts of this is welcome. And all of the parts of this is held. So, it's a big inspiration that come to my heart from this conversation.
That's beautiful.
So many great moments of wisdom shared, and like I feel that the idea of co-creation is that when people are in the space together, because we could have done this online and had like, online face-to-face chat, but that can bring some kind of connection. But then sitting here in the room together, creating this space to share, it's so powerful. So when you do that with your events, when you bring people together, I feel each event is unique. It has its own special magic created there.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to hear about how the process was for you for that first event, because for most people, they have this idea, but then that first event never happens. They just like think one day I'll become an ecstatic dance DJ, or one day I'll start my business, but it never happens. It's just an idea. So to actually start that first event, how was that for you, and what was that process like?
Yeah. So I go a big shout out for my brother Ricky, because he's a dear friend, and he's a silent retreat. He does silent retreats, and it's really beautiful in his spiritual path. And he was encouraging me when he was in Lisbon. I was in this time living in Lisbon, and he said, "Let's do it. We do so many times Cacao. Let's just start doing these gatherings." And so I feel like for me it was the support also of having a brother next to me, who says, okay, and also has special skills. We did the Cacao together. I know that he's really good in meditation, and so it gave me this feeling of, okay, I go, let's do it together. So I think for me it was the support of a dear brother, and and then just the curiosity of the heart, and not thinking too much. If I would have thought that this will be something which I will take so many years and so many work, maybe I would have never started it. No, so and so it's sometimes it's just, if there's a feeling, there's nothing to lose, to just try it out. And it's also about this humbleness of making mistakes. Like, this is such a growth, especially if we're working in things which is not. I don't speak about like if you really go to trauma work, or which can healing of trauma can also happen in these gatherings, but you're not holding maybe a space for deep, like, psychoactive medicine. So there when you're not doing this and you're doing only, when you can make mistakes and you can, try out. And so I guess it's just the curiosity of the inner child trying out and yeah.
And how do you feel you attract the right people?
So I feel everything is energy at the end. We know this, no? I can reflect on a gathering I can see how is the energy of the time when the gathering happened, of myself, of everyone. I can feel it all, and all co-creates who will arrive in which moment. And till now, even my mind was always a lot of times, this is not enough. You not have enough people. You don't attract. At the end, there have always been the right people at the right moment. We meet the right people in the right moment, in every moment.
Of course.
And so, how to attract the right people? There's no right people, but I guess it's the inner work. And I don't say that we're always there, but this alignment of being in the flow of life, you just said, trying to be in this alignment, then you will attract exactly the one who should be there, no? And if not, you're not in alignment, you also attract exactly the one who should be there. But I guess that's it. It's trying to be in alignment as much as possible, and work on your energy. And I can see this in myself. There are moments when I am not so in my super energy, then events are not getting so attractive for so many others, no? And then it's meant to be to work with a smaller group, and then it's this meant to be, and not trying to judge. I have just attracted. It's so easy also to compare, and I speak about myself, no? So I think that's it.
And what would you say some of like the challenges that have come up over the years in creating events? Has you ever felt like stopping or quitting during this time? Or
I super overwhelmed a lot of times. So even it looks like so amazing, and so maybe from the outside it is so amazing and beautiful, but it's super it's challenging for me, still finding the balance, taking care of my own self. The service is pushing me a lot, and I feel there's so much work I'm doing that sometimes I'm not taking care enough about myself, and this is not productive, because if I don't take care of myself, I cannot be in my full power as well. So I feel like there's a lot of moments I'm super overwhelmed, I'm comparing myself, I am getting like feeling I'm a slave of social media, which is something, you know, suddenly I see myself only being on the phone. I was living without a phone before doing events for 3 years. I was super happy. And now I didn't know what is Instagram. And then I started, suddenly I be on Instagram, and I somehow take time to think about how I can attract people. And suddenly I'm living this illusion that social media is super, like, takes so much of my time. So I see some parts where I'm still need to find a good balance to have a healthy and sustainable life, because I feel sometimes I'm getting lost in the 1,000 things of organizing messages, phone. So there is a challenge for me to deal with all of this, which means to create these spaces and be the one like manifesting it. So yeah, it's not always
I believe that
everything
work
shiny.
management is a big topic that we could have another podcast episode about how to organize your work in the most efficient way, but to just not make social media only evil.
Yes, please.
Still, it's a connection that it allows a lot of people to reach you and to reach your work.
Yes.
That if not for that, maybe they would never be allowed in this magical space, and because of reaching through social media, they can live less on their social media because they become more connected to the community and themselves.
It's about the bigger goal of it.
About,
the higher purpose of it. But that was something I wanted to ask, because I know that in some ecstatic dances, they have like a specific rule of like no phones. And I think you mentioned it as well, people to not phone, but then at the same time, there will be videos. But I know in your one, you mentioned, okay, if anyone's not comfortable with being on camera, then it will removed. And I just want to know what's your process around like filming and things with ecstatic dance, because when I first started, there was nobody using phones, but then as time's gone on, I've seen that like, a lot of people go in with their phones, and we want to avoid it, turning into a nightclub vibe as well. So how you balance that?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I feel it's important that we have these moments captured, especially because we want to spread the work and we want to that other people come. So, by the way, I also love all the followers. Continue following, not only because I said Instagram is not so nice. I still enjoy it as well. And I feel like it needs a very clear space. And I take the example of Virgilio, for example, one of the ecstatic dance facilitators. He's also really good in it, setting the space that there can be like a videographer, but then also there is a clear role to not use your phone, and encouraging this in people, and also creating this presence. As much more presence you bring to the space, yourself and others, as less people will be on their phone. Because it's not only it's a distraction, and it means that I'm not fully in my own process. Because if not, I would not go to my phone if I'm right now really present with what is alive. So it's an indicator for how much people are able to be present on the gathering, and how much we could create this safe space that there is no need for going to the phone. And I know it's a natural habit for many of people, so it's like deconstructing a whole habit, something beautiful. It's the same again, what we just shared. It's like about self-love. Something beautiful happens, instead of just being nourished by the moment, or something else happened, but just feeling it, I need to share it. It's not for myself, And I think it goes to the same root again. Are we feeling enough by ourselves and experiencing ourselves? Are we loving ourselves enough? Yeah. Now I went really deep from that.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a good one because we're looping down to like being able to contain our excitement and love, and to shine it into our heart instead of shining it out. But then it's also a mission to share that we can do differently. And maybe for us in our bubble, it's like ecstatic dance. It's so available, and these conscious celebrations are such a mainstream thing right now. But yet still, not for the most of people, it's so obvious. And probably most of people that I share my Instagram space with, they would never have joined a celebration like this. So as much as I speak from my point of view, I don't usually film in ecstatic dances because this is my healing and I do it fully for myself. Sometimes I'm happy when there is a video that I can share because I feel like I want to promote this. I want to reach the eyes of people who might be looking for it. And me, myself, I remember first time I saw ecstatic dance, it was on YouTube. 10 years ago, it was Moses' Cacao dance in Guatemala. And I remember I looked at this video and it's like, the only thing I think that I can recognize is like they're on something. But on the other hand, they look like they're not on something because everybody was dancing in this, contact dance, super synchronized way. And like they are having way too much integrity to be high on like psychedelics. And I don't know what they're doing, but I want to be that people, And then a few years after, I found myself dancing to a set with Mose and just being so immersed by that and like really full of love and so happy to understand that like this attraction that I felt when I saw it the first time, I forgot about it for all these days. And when I was in this moment, it came back, this memory, and I was like, yes, this is what maybe inspired me subconsciously to be magnetized to this community and to this way of spending time. So as much as filming is taking a lot away from the experience for yourself, as much as I feel like in a way doing it from outside of the circle, so not to like interfere with other people's experience, but doing it from outside, it can really be of service to those who are searching for connection, who want to party but don't want to drink, who want to dance bare feet and not be afraid that they step on a cigarette butt, and who want to connect with other people without being afraid that if I smile to you, you're gonna now like abuse me or whatever. Just being in this purity, in this open heart. So it's a really good question because it's both, I feel.
Yeah. And I feel like this is the evolution of it. It's like maybe at the start, the idea was let's contain it. But now we can see that there is value in being outside. But then you as a person, if you're going to the phone, it's taking you out of the experience. So it's better to stay in the experience, but creating the space for the experience to be shared as well for others who are seeking.
And it's sometimes... Also for the ones who have been there, like from the Coração Fest, we have not yet put the after trailer, but I went to some of the videos and there's some deep touching moments filmed when people will see this. It will be an amazing reminder also for the ones who have been there, in which energy they have found themselves and what they have experienced. So also for the ones being on the gathering, it's beautiful to afterwards having a reminder or a reconnection to this feeling, to have it more blended inside, I guess.
Yeah, wow. I feel we touched on many different topics around cacao and ecstatic dance, Coração de Cacau. And yeah, I'm wondering if you have anything else you want to share before we close off for today.
Good question. I'm super grateful for your energy and also for creating this. I feel that there's a lot of value in that you're like inviting so many beautiful people and letting them share and having a conversation. And so I feel super inspired to listen more and speak less. There's a beautiful learning and listening. So I'm inspired by you doing this. It's very beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, if I have something else to share, I feel like we touched a lot. Thank you also for the openness that I'm able to like share a bit more about me and also my story and showing where I come from and with all my processes and shadows and moments and thank you for welcoming them all.
Thank you for thank you.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I felt it was so much in the heart, everything, and thank you for your vulnerability and openness to be truly present with us and to show your heart and speak your truth, because this is what we are here for.
Aho.
Aho.
Okay. Wow.
Thank you.
Ciao, Cacao.